Let's see if I can do a quickie on our winch and rigging drive. Our round torque tube is patented and it can be used as a trolley rail. So imagine the trolleys are riding on it, one over here, one over here. It doesn't interfere with our bearings. It will jump up from the journal coupler down to the torque tube and then back up to the journal coupler when it's building out the PV. The very first thing it's going to do is build the torque tube ahead of itself at all the way down, bay by bay, post by post, 4 rows simultaneously. Torque tubes are being fed down these 2 rows, and these 2 center rows here is where the pick and place machine goes. Lays down all the torque tubes, and then we put in the winch and rigging drive system to hold it all. Then on those same shuttles shuttle out now, instead of torque tubes, they shuttle out PV photovoltaics, preferably pre-assembled 2P. That goes 5 degrees up, 5 degrees down. Shuttle them out. The pick and place machine moves down this way, picks and places those 2Ps behind it as it moves down this way. Each time you pass a bearing with the pick and place machine, you put on the top so that it can't blow off when this gets loaded with PV, and that continues on down the process. So it builds itself. Lay out the torque tube, lay out the PV without touching the aisles if they are muddy, planted in crops, environmentally sensitive for some reason, and this can carry the workers. Here's our winch and rigging drive. We get a 6x leverage, so you turn this 360 plus or minus, you get plus or minus 60 out there. I can turn this 1.5 times and I'll get 90 degrees out there. There's one turn, 60 degrees out there, 1.25, 75 out there, and 85 I've got. I can go farther, but it's just a tabletop model. You'd only do that in hailstorms, right? The same the other way. I've got very loose cable. It doesn't have to be taut all the time, so that it only jiggles that much with a lot of looseness. If that were tighter, which it can be, that wiggle will be plus or minus 1/4 degree. The other thing that happens is, as you see, there's reflection here on the torque tube. The bifacial PVs that are on either side, the torque tube always blocks one side. It's got soft shadowing going on to that first row of cells on each side of the torque tube. Everyone else's square torque tube, the light comes down, hits the square torque tube, goes straight back up. The sunlight comes down, hits our rounded torque tube, that very bright sunlight, and splashes over to this first row of cells and this first row of cells to release that shadow, to compensate for that shadow. Now the rest of the module's backside bifacial output can put out. Otherwise, it was blocked just by those cells, and there's many cells. They're all along the torque tube, all the way down. The other part of our patented torque tube is that it's round and it reflects that bright sunlight right where you need it. Everybody else thinks you just come off a little bit and if you got rid of the problem, but no, you still have this blocking underneath the light. We are releasing 5% more power and energy just by releasing that bifacial backside. Everybody else is getting a 5% gain. We're getting a 10% gain. 110 over 105 is 5% improvement. Just naturally. 6x leveraged again. The rigging, the cables, the 2 pole cables, the east and west, go into the torque tube at the bottom level, connect to pull rods. At each post are small takeoff cables going around our semicircular lever arm, which keeps everything equal, in and out, linear, except for the 6x. That's going to move 6. The other thing is everything is up high. Imagine this torque tube is 7-8 feet up in the air, so is the drive, everything clear underneath for tractors, etc. Right here at this lever, semicircular lever arm, right now that's this is only 6-inch tabletop, but that's going to be 24 inches. So if this is 8 feet up in the air, then the bottom of this is 6 feet up in the air, out of the way, and that's right at the post and the next post. Everything in between is clear. And again, we are just going to have like trolley rails riding on our torque tube, one on this side, one on that side, safety. And that can shuttle people, torque tubes, hardware, and definitely PV panels. Everything about this is faster, better, cheaper. We are Sun and Steel Solar, LLC of Nevada. We are looking for a round A. That would be $5 million for 25%. We'll take smaller amounts as we anticipate a lot of grant money, non-diluting funding coming our way. And this is for agrivoltaics, and that's a better mousetrap. I'm Robert Daly, and thank you very much.